Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Qwizical's Guide 2 with me Qwizical, and today we're going to be looking at how not to play Scrabble. So while this seems almost contradictory in terms of what the whole playlist is about, the playlist is about how to play Scrabble, sometimes you've also got to learn how not to play Scrabble in order to play better Scrabble. So in order to do that, we're going to have to analyse less top division games and more lower division games in order to understand what's wrong with their play and why we shouldn't be doing it. So we're going to look at one of my favourite ISC players right now, and we're going to kind of look at where they're going wrong with their game. Now I've blanked their names out, so hopefully they won't get annoyed that I'm showing their games, but they really are a terrible player, so we're gonna look at why. So here is one example of why they're a terrible player. We're this player on the left. They've got a rating in this is TWL game. They've got 183 TWL rating, and their opponent, which is slightly covered up, is 318. So yeah, what do they do wrong here? Well, they do a number of things wrong. Ideally, they should be doing something like Cade. 35 points gets rid of your Q. Even at this level, just playing off the Q, the Chi, or even playing QAT over here. Any of those things are good, but what they do is so bad that you should never be doing this in a game. And what's that? Well, if we go next, they burn their blank. What do they burn their blank for? 0 points. It's an additional 0 points to play your blank there. Why you would do that, I never know. Now, it's important to remember that there are circumstances where burning your blank for 0 points is actually a good thing. And I have seen one example of where burning your blank for 0 points is good. But 99 times out of 100, burning your blank for 0 points is the worst thing you could do. Burning your blank in general for anything lower than about 50 points is bad. Now, when you kind of start to improve, you start to realise the value of the blank. So eventually it will get to a point where you know where you can not bonus with your blank, and also where you can score 40 points with the blank and have it be okay. But you need to be able to understand strategically which points in the game are good to burn your blank, which places aren't. So when you improve your whole blank decision making, then hopefully you're going to completely avoid this scenario, which is just so annoying. If there's anything I hate seeing, it's burning your blanks. So here's eventually the second example that I'm going to give you of the names are pretty covered. Just begin with the. I mean, you're not going to work out who that player is from the word the. But anyway, here's the second example of what I don't want you guys to do when you play Scrabble. You're probably thinking, why are you showing me this crazy rack with long words on the board? Now, I'm going to put it this way. The player on the left in this scenario is the same player from before, and they've been coming up with pretty weird words. And pretty long words that you don't expect them to know. So I would also say don't follow the example of this player by cheating, because they're clearly a bit meh. But anyway, this example is something that I also do not want you guys to do. And that's passing your turn to try and get your bonus to fit on the board. So of course when you do draw a bonus, You know, you're really happy, you've got a bonus, you've got a chance to earn 50 extra points, you know, the world is amazing, and then you realise it doesn't go down on the board, and you're like, I really want to play my bonus here, so I'm going to pass, so that I can get it down next turn. And there's a couple of problems with this. One, you may already be missing the place to play the bonus. Frequently I find that with lower rated players in particular, you're not fully aware of all the hooks on the board. And sometimes your board awareness isn't at that point where you're seeing the places to play your bonus. So you may be missing the place to play the bonus to begin with. Secondly, anybody with a shred of like that much common sense will know that why are you going to open the board when your opponent's passed the turn? I mean, if your opponent has passed the turn, the best thing that you can do is keep the board super tight or not make any additional openings, so that your opponent is just not going to be able to do what they want to do. So any place such as Jink, you know, that doesn't open anything out, so you're completely fine to do something like that. But passing here, it hands your opponent the advantage. It gives them the opportunity to catch up, to take the other hotspots on the board that are not necessarily there for bonuses, such as this A row and the J to the triple. But also, your rack is the same. You know, it's not like, you know, you've passed and you're going to get a completely new rack and a new board and a new opportunity to the bonus. The board is going to stay the same. Your rack is going to stay the same, pretty much. You're still not going to be able to get the bonus down. So you're going to end up passing essentially the whole game trying to get your one bonus down. And you kind of need to realise that there are some opportunities where you're not going to be able to play the bonus. But that's okay. You don't have to bonus every time you get a bonus on your rack. Of course, it's great if you get to play the bonus on your rack, because it's, you know, it's 50 extra points. You know, you're likely scoring around 70 anyway for that bonus. So it's great to have that points advantage. But if you rely so heavily on these bonuses and getting them down, then you're just going to sacrifice points elsewhere in the game. And that's not going to be the best thing in the world. So I'm going to try and summarise this now, hopefully. So in summary, some of these things I might not have talked about yet, but they're still pretty relevant. Point number 1, do not play the longest word you see. I mean, unless it's a bonus, in which case do play the longest word you see. But that's always not the best thing you do. If the longest word you see is a bonus and there's no other bonus, that's completely fine. But if you play the longest word you see and it scores 10 points, just don't do it. There's easily something so much better on the board. And playing 6 tiles for 10 points instead of 4 tiles for 30 points is just so bad in comparison that you just shouldn't be doing it. There's no advantage to playing more tiles, unless you're scoring more points. Point number 2, don't play the highest scoring word that you see. Sometimes the highest scoring word you see isn't the best for your rack, for the board, for a lot of things. And if you watch some of my other videos that are more about choosing your move, you know, rack balancing, all that kind of stuff, that's where you'll realise that maybe the highest scoring move necessarily isn't the best because of what it leaves, because of what it does to the board, because of so many things. I don't know why point number 4 is there. But oh well. Point number 3, don't burn your blank. As we've seen, burning your blank is a terrible idea. Don't do it, unless there's a perfectly good reason for it. Sometimes, you know, burning the blank is a good thing, but you've got to have the strategy to know how to do so. Point number 4 is rubbish. We should get rid of that. I need to work out how to get rid of that. But yeah, Learn what interests you, but don't learn what this is. Which kind of is point number 5 in a way. Don't follow this example. Just don't follow what this player is doing. What this player is doing can be compared to the way cheaters play, and that's they bring out their anagramma, they look for the longest word that they see, and if they play it, they play it. And regularly, cheaters are not the best at Scrabble because they're cheaters. But it's really easy to tell who's just looking for long words and who could really be, you know, with a tiny bit of strategy, who could really improve their game. You know, if by some miracle this player was playing legitimately, then a tweak in strategy would probably elevate their game massively. And it's about realising that vocabulary is really good, but if your strategy and move decision just isn't there, then you're missing out on so much. You're not going to play as well as you probably should be. So, you know, understand what's bad and what's good. And, you know, maybe you'll hit the dizzying heights of the top division one day. So thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will hopefully see you next time for more of Qwizical's Guide to. Bye!